All right there. How's everybody doing? It is officially October 12th, 2018. We are just about 18 days away from the NFL trade deadline that occurs on October 30th in week 8 of the NFL season. Teams have till 4 p.m. that day to go ahead and get their final trades in to potentially booster their season, to potentially get into the playoffs and give their teams that last little push they need to go ahead and get in. So let's jump into what I think are the five biggest potential trades that could happen this season and more than likely will. We'll start with five being the least likely and one being the most likely, just based off scenarios, rumors that you're hearing from around the NFL. And of course, we have let's cover a free agent signing to watch out for first. And this one seems to be the most obvious of the players to be signed in the free agent pool when you go through it and look at it. There's Dez Bryant. He may not be a number one wide receiver anymore, but he's still a threat in the red zone, and in any offensive package, he will pose a problem because he will draw attention off of potential other number one or number two wide receivers or other major pass receivers in the offense because you can't leave Dez Bryant alone. He will burn you. And of course, he is great in the red zone. And I think the idea fits for a player like Dez Bryant would be a team like the Texans who need a receiver. These are teams that are really struggling at the wide receiver position. They are also teams that are looking to bring in more offense because their offenses at this point aren't the greatest. The Seahawks seem to be the least likely, and the Packers too. But there's teams I put them in least and most likely that I think they need them. The Texans could use a player like Dez Bryant immediately. It would really give Deshaun Watson another other than like Hopkins to throw the ball down the field to. The Giants, of course, that goes without saying. You see that offense. They need somebody other than Odell and Barkley to get the ball to. Jaguars, they just always could use more help on offense, especially when you have Blake Bortles at quarterback. I also think you guys should try and get Tyrod Taylor if possible if you're a Jaguars owner and you're watching for whatever friggin' reason. Maybe try and get Tyrod. He's probably better than your motherfucking quarterback. But and then we got the Titans who could use some help. Their offense is stagnant. The Packers don't have any other wide receivers than Devontae and an injured Randall Cobb. So, and the Seahawks just because. All right, top five players likely to be traded in the NFL this season. In my opinion, this is the least likely, and I feel like if I didn't include him, I would be called out for not including this player. So it's going to be Le'Veon Bell, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I honestly don't think he's going to be traded from the Steelers. Um, and that's because he has not expressed any interest to be traded. He said he's coming back at about week 7 after the bye week or week 8, whenever that is, and he intends to finish out the season. Also, I think the Steelers are asking for far too much for Bell, a couple second round picks and a good player. It's like, all right, I don't think anything's going to be reached out. But if he was to be traded, I see a team like Washington or Tampa Bay because he's only going to sign a contract extension with the Steelers to be traded if he's going to a team that's going to be contending for the playoffs without any healthy running backs and it won't be in the AFC because the Steelers aren't going to be trying to play Bell trying to go to the fucking playoffs, or Super Bowl in January. So that leaves literally like Tampa Bay and Washington. And I believe it'd be more like Washington he'd go to because they have Darius Geis they could fall back on the next year. And I mean, they're already renting Adrian Peterson, so why not bring another one on? Dan Snyder's been known to do this kind of wild shit in the past. See Albert Hainsworth signings. So, and it's just one of those things they do. And I think everybody makes off like a bandit with compensatory picks should he not re-sign with Washington if he's traded there. But again, I don't think he's leaving Pittsburgh. But if he does, watch for the Redskins or possibly Tampa Bay, two teams that could use a player like Bell. But we'll see. Tampa Bay also seems really cool too. And then we have Tevin Coleman, the running back for the 1-4 Atlanta Falcons. I say this because now that Freeman's back, healthy, good to go, and getting most of the snaps on offense, the fact that the Falcons are struggling right now, they may be wanting to look at adding things to their defense, getting draft picks, which is probably what they get for Tevin Coleman is draft picks to help bolster that defense next year in the draft because right now that Atlanta defense is terrible. And what good is having two good running backs when you need stuff on defense? So you're not going to get rid of Freeman. So you're probably going to see Coleman being shopped around as the compensatory pick to whomever doesn't get Bell or well, really, whoever doesn't get LeSean McCoy is probably going to be going hard after Tevin Coleman because I don't see Le'Veon Bell going anywhere. So Coleman's going to be the number 2 big back on the market, in my opinion. I'm not really sure where he's going to go, like a Washington or a Tampa Bay, like I was saying earlier. Could be one of those idea fits for a player like him, just simply because of the fact that they need running backs. They only need like a year's service from a guy because they have Darius Geis in Washington. So maybe Tampa Bay, but I don't see them trading within the division. So I don't know, but I see Tevin Coleman getting traded somewhere. He's a very good back. He's shown he's a good back. But Atlanta doesn't need 2 good running backs when they need draft picks to rebuild that awful, awful defense. And then we have Dewan Buchanan, linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals. He's a very versatile. He's a safety turned linebacker who is a freak pass cover. He can play freak pass coverage. He's great at rushing the passer. Very versatile player. Will work good in almost any defense, especially a 3-4. So watch teams like the Jets potentially trying to make a stab at this guy. I think he's his defensive coordinator, a defensive coach, is over in the Jets, who is used to Dewan, he's never recorded less than 83 tackles in a season or something like that. He's a little bit injury prone. He's coming off injury and he's had a slow start this year, but I mean, all of Arizona's having a shitty year right now, so it's not just him. Plus, he's got like I think this is the end of his contract, so like, and he doesn't show signs that he's going to be re-signing with Arizona, and this is the end of his contract. So look for Arizona to try to get something in the process of rebuilding and moving on from players like this. I could also see the Detroit Lions going for a player like this, as they seem to struggle with this intermediate short passing coverage, especially on tight ends or on players like and they could always use another good linebacker. That's where they're particularly weak at, and Buchanan would fill the role really nice in Detroit. Ooh, I don't know though. And then we have one of the more logical trades that might actually happen. The injury-prone potential superstar in Devontae Parker, a wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, who has kind of seen his way out of the main group of wide receivers after Miami spent some good money on a trio of expensive wide receivers. So we're going to see them probably transition away from Devontae Parker, who has shown signs of absolute brilliance. Even in a year where Miami didn't throw the ball a couple years ago, he didn't produce much, but they also only threw the ball like 470 times that year. Prorate it to a different style. He has like 800 yards with like 80 to 60 or 60 to 80 receptions and I think 5 touchdowns. So that's a pretty good solid thing, and a team that could really use a player. I mean, if he can stay healthy and everything, he's a pretty good wide receiver, good option. Would be a team like the Cowboys, who have one of the worst wide receiving corps in football. I could see them going hard after a Devontae Parker in a trade, which you could get for draft picks. And Arizona, you could get Buchanan for draft picks and Coleman for draft picks. You're pretty much only losing draft picks for these players, but these seem to be like the biggest rumor mill players right now for whatever reason. So we have Devontae Parker, even though he's injury prone, he's still better and more of a threat than anybody the fucking Cowboys have. So right now, this almost seems like a no-brainer. Offer up some draft picks. The Dolphins will probably ship him over because he doesn't figure into their offense. Easy no-brainer trade. We'll probably actually see this one happen. And then the one that's dubbed more than likely going to happen within the next couple weeks is LeSean McCoy, running back for the Buffalo Bills, heading back to the Philadelphia Eagles, where he was traded from. I believe for Kiko Alonso of all players. Very good trade now that he's coming back to Philadelphia. But yeah, I could see Shady McCoy back home in Philadelphia, especially since J.J. is out and Coleman and Sproles are not really like perfect running backs. Even though I believe Coleman and the backup had great games yesterday, it's not exactly what you want. You want to have a player like Shady in there who can come in for a year, plug the hole Ajayi left, and kind of just carry it through. And the Bills are obviously rebuilding. They could use some draft picks for a guy like McCoy. And I think there's rumors that the Philadelphia might send him a guard in Stefan or Stephen G. I can't pronounce his last name, even though it's on the tip of my tongue. So we can see a player like that, thing with draft picking a player for LeSean McCoy, for him to go back to Philadelphia to kind of fill the hole that Ajayi left with a torn ACL and help bolster that Philadelphia Eagles offense. And yeah, to me, those are the top 5 players that are likely to be traded this during this season, just simply due to situations around their teams being bad in Coleman, Buchanan, and McCoy. And then in terms of Bell, I don't really actually think he's going to be traded, so it's just a holdout situation and blah 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 blah. And with Parker, even though the Dolphins aren't bad, he's just not being used. So why not trade him? He can still get you some decent value, especially for wide receiver hungry teams like the Cowboys. But then there's other rumors. There's rumors that Detroit Lions might be shopping wide receiver Golden Tate to a wide receiver hungry Tennessee Titans team. Though I don't think this rumor is going to happen because of Golden Tate's pivotal role in the offense. The offense seems to be being centered more and more around Marvin Jones, who's got like 95% of offensive snaps played, and then there's 89% to Kenny Galladay, the emerging superstar of the Detroit offense, and I think Tate's way down in like the 60s or 70s. So it seems to me they're phasing him out, and it doesn't seem that he's going to re-sign in the offseason. So watch for them to try to maybe acquire a wide receiver and a draft pick from the Titans for a player like Golden Tate. Not likely to happen in my opinion, just something that's on the rumor mill. And then there's rumors that Cleveland Browns might be shopping backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor. Why have a player like Tyrod Taylor on the bench? He was literally brought in to be a stopgap until Baker Mayfield took over. And I don't know, you could probably get him for dirt cheap, maybe a couple draft pick, maybe a 7th-round draft pick. Just be like, hey, can we give you a 7th-round draft pick, Jacksonville? Jacksonville can grab him. They need a backup in case Blake goes down, or maybe they just want to try a new quarterback out who doesn't suck ass. I don't know. And then there's Jamie Collins, who was hurt and hasn't really lived up to that massive contract he signed in Cleveland. The New England Patriots could potentially be trying to bolster a deal to get their once a star linebacker back into New England, who would be a major upgrade over their current situations, the likes of Kyle Van Noy and Trey, whatever the fuck his name is. So we could see Collins come back, especially since Cleveland has 2 new guys who seem to have fit the role. So Collins' playing time is way, way down this year. He could be a player on the trading block that could help bolster that young Cleveland team. And since the Colts are a garbage fire this year and looking worse and worse each week, we could see Adam Vinatieri to a new team, potentially like the Chargers, even though they just signed a kicker today. So watch out to see if Adam Vinatieri is offered a new team, is off to a new team, especially with all the struggles of even teams that are contending with like kicking field goals, especially considering he is a living legend. And that is all my rumors I have for this week for the NFL trade rumors of 2018. Remember, we are just about 18 days away from October 30th, which is the trading deadline, which will be at 4 o'clock. I tried to record this literally 18 days away from the thing, so it'd be like to the time the trading deadline will be over. Sorry for the burping and stuff. I didn't mean to do that, but so yeah, that was my NFL top 5 players most likely to be traded and a bit of trade rumors after that. Thank you so much for listening to this video. If you thought it was good, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, leave a comment with what you think will happen during the trade deadline or what will happen leading up to it. Where do you think certain players will go? Also, thank you for watching my latest video, the NFL Week 6 Picks video, and liking that and getting it up to about 3,000 views. I'm very thankful for everyone who's been listening and helping that video get all big and stuff, so thank you very much. Keep on doing that. That always helps stuff out, and, you know, that was good to see the Eagles finally come back. I know I'm just kind of extending this for no reason, but it was really nice to see the Eagles offense kind of come back and show a little bit of swagger. Kind of hurts the trade rumors thing, but we'll probably still see the Eagles try to get something other than what they have at running back. But yeah, that was all I have for today. So thank you for listening to this video. Have a great day and tune into the live stream later or any of the live streams. Have a great day. Bye.